Living the Christ life, the keys to being faithful. One prayer that I've prayed for many, many years. Some prayers you just don't stop praying, as far as I'm concerned. You never stop praying for the youth, that's for sure. You always pray for the next generation. You always pray for your leaders. But I always pray for faithfulness. God honors faithfulness. Faithfulness. Consistency. Doing what you're supposed to do. Being content with what you're supposed to do. There's a passage in Timothy where Paul talks to Timothy, Paul is up in age, and he's talking to Timothy about leadership, and he says, godliness with contentment is great gain. To be content, and be godly, and to be satisfied with just following God. That's a huge deal. Contentment. I think the business world, lots of things that we sell, lots of things that people sell are not based on contentment. The economy, I'm not sure, is based on contentment. It's based on discontent. You need something extra. You need something more. You need something new. You need something different. Albert Lexie, he was a shoe shine man for 30 years. He set up his business right inside of Pittsburgh's Children's Hospital. He knocked the dirt off of people's shoes, he cleaned, he buffed, and he polished. And he charged a mere $5 for each pair of shoes. Often a satisfied customer left him a tip. Most gave an extra $1, some maybe $2. Once during a Christmas season, the doctor gave him $50 for shining his shoes. But big tips like that are far and few between for Albert. People just didn't seem to care about the condition of their shoes. At least in the closing years, people didn't seem to care about the condition of their shoes like they used to. Albert was sort of a relic from another era. You've been to big cities where they had, you see the shoe shining people there. But when Albert shined his last shoe and decided to end his business, he did not forget the Pittsburgh Children's Hospital. Albert, a shoe shining man, left a legacy. How? Since the day Albert shined his first pair of shoes nearly 30 years ago, Albert donated more than a third of his earnings to the Children's Hospital Free Care Fund. This fund helps parents who can't afford to pay for their sick children's medical costs. In addition, Albert has also given the hospital every tip he had ever received. But Albert is just a shoe shine man. How could there be much to give, right? According to the hospital administration, Albert gave over $200,000. $200,000 is maybe what we would say rich people can give. Not shoe shine. Yet that's the correct number. How do you do it? How can he give like that? Little bit by little bit. Small amounts, given faithfully over time, can add up to a powerful legacy. What legacy are you leaving behind? you save up every day to give away? I believe that is how it is with us. Christ followers, how does it work? We invest in our time, little by little. Our time with God is important. Because that ripples out. Our attitude has a huge effect on people. Because all of us in this room will leave a legacy. We're going to leave it behind in our children and in other people. The question is, what legacy will we leave behind? All you have to be is a shoe-shiny guy. You might say, I don't do a whole lot. I don't have a big this or a big that. You don't have to. Sometimes we feel like we're just a snowflake in the snowstorm of life. But you know, put all those flakes together, what happens? You can stop a city. Put all those flakes together, it can do damage. Just as in the negative, put all, just a little by little every day, the faithfulness, our faithfulness to God, it's going to add up. It can make a big difference in the next generation. When you come to the end of your life on earth, what do you hope that you'll pass on to your children, and that they in turn pass on to their children? Moses had a big statement. You look to Deuteronomy before he died, because he died before they went into the promised land, because God said he would not go into the promised land. You remember why? Because he struck the rock. And the rock was Jesus. He struck the rock one time. He was supposed to speak to the rock and the water was going to come out of the rock. But he was just mad. Sometimes when in our anger, we do stupid things. And you know, anger is something you can't take back. He couldn't take it back. And ultimately, anger is a reflection of our relationship with God. We can give all sorts of excuses for it, but why do we get angry? Probably somewhere along the line, we're not trusting God at that point. But anyway, Moses, there's a long litany of things that he talks about to the children of Israel before he died. One of those things he says, choose life. And then right after that he says, so that you and your children can live. When we choose the right ways, it's just not for us, it's for the legacy of the past. It's for those who come behind us. Choose life so that you and your children can live. I think everyone in this room knows what happened to Glenda's father. How did you respond to that? What did you do with that? I knew what I said. I said, God, forgive him for what he did. It was a mistake. It was a grievous mistake. It has a ripple effect. It had a ripple effect. Glenda was busted. Carrie was broken. Jeremy was beside himself. Aaron, I'm sure, I can't talk for you. It's a horrible thing. But I imagine, Aaron, if I talk to you, that was not him, was it? That wasn't that man, was it? When you think about him, he left a different legacy. But you know, that's most of us leave some sort of mixtures. I wish he would have talked to somebody. And when I've talked with some of the family, what I heard was that he was a very private man to himself, and he probably never really talked that much openly with others about what was really going on. And that can be a really bad thing if we let things eat us to the extent that we're so alone. That's the beauty of relationships in the family. Moses said, choose life so that you and your children can live. Jesus, during the Last Supper, it's basically, it's John chapter 13, 14, 15, and 16 are the words that Jesus gave his disciples before he was hauled away and killed. He spent time with them to share with them what he believed were the important things. Remember one of the first things he did? He took a basin and he washed every one of his disciples' feet. We came to Peter. Peter says, "Oh, you're not going to wash my feet." It's too humbling of a thing. Back in that day and time, it was just the servants who washed people's feet. It was just the slaves that would get down and wash feet. And Jesus says, Peter, if you don't let me wash your feet, you don't have any part of me. Peter says, well, Lord, in that case, wash my head too and wash everything else. Jesus says, you don't need that, Peter. You ever get yourself flipping around, don't do this, and then you just want it all? And such was the case with Peter. I've seen myself in Peter, flipping around a little bit. And then after Jesus washed his disciples' feet, he says, I want you to do as I did. I want you to wash other people's feet. And I don't think he's saying be a shoe shine guy. Be a servant. Be in the lives of others. Make a difference in people's lives. Wash the dirt off of people. Be there to help. Open your eyes. See the needs around you. Make a difference. Leave a legacy. As I have loved you, Jesus says in this John passage. In the same way that I've loved you, so you must love one another. He didn't say it would be a good idea. He says, no. He even said, I'm leaving you a new commandment. This isn't a suggestion. By this kind of love, everyone's going to know that you are my followers. That's the key. Love. That was John 13. And in 14, he goes on about the Word. And John 15, it's about the Holy Spirit. And he bridges out different things. What do you hope to instill in your children? What do you hope to instill in the next generation? What kind of legacy are you going to leave behind? Well, I don't even have children yet. Jesus never had kids, physical kids, right? Paul never had physical kids, right? You don't have to have, this is not about physical kids. It may be about physical kids, but that's not what this is about. We all leave a legacy. We're all going to die someday. How many here know exactly when you're going to die? I could die today. I'm going to leave a legacy, whether I like it or not. No matter when you die, no matter when I die, we're going to leave something. There's one person wiser than I said, hopefully we'll leave this earth a better place than when we entered it. That we didn't come here and use. We came here and gave. Totally agree with that. How many have read 2 John lately? Not 1 John, not 3 John. 2 John. That's what I thought. I didn't think that was at the top of your list this morning. And if it was, I would give room for it. I'd say, come on, let's share. Now, 2 John is an interesting passage. It's just 13 verses, the whole book. And I believe in these 13 verses, he opens up as, he says, I'm an elder. He's the pastor. He has some sheep out there, and he's giving them instructions as an older man, as a wiser man, as a man that walked with Jesus. He was the only apostle left at this point. All of the rest of them have died up to this moment. He was the only one. And he gives, it says, these 3 admonitions, there's 4. This is a work in progress. 4 admonitions capsulize the essence of living a faithful Christian life. Now, if you get into your translations, it talks about that he's talking to some lady. And most of the scholars actually believe, and the people that have really studied it more than I've studied it, believe the lady is the church. The lady is the bride of Christ. And he says, I was so filled with joy to hear stories about your children walking in truth. Isn't that one thing, as you look at your life and as you look at leaving this earth, don't you want your children to walk in truth? Isn't that going to fill you with joy to know that they're walking in the truth? I was so filled with joy to hear stories about your children walking in truth in the very way the Father called us to live. So now I'm asking you to live by the command that we love one another. I'm not writing to you some new commandment. It's one received in the beginning from our Lord. The first admonition that he tells us to live a faithful life, to live a life that will give a positive legacy, is to love one another. The question is, I think love is like an old used rag in this society. It means so many things. What is love? What is love? He explains it, verse 6, and this is love. Let's say it together, and this is love.
This is love.
And this is love. This is not maybe your love. This is maybe not what I think love is. But this is what God's love really is. That we walk in obedience to His commands. That's what love is. Now, is that your definition of love? If you had to put the top this is what love is. How many here want to live a life of love? How are we going to do this? Listen, early on in my Christian life, You get excited about Jesus. I give my life over to Jesus. It's like the weight of the world just came off. I remember saying it's just like 50 pounds came off of me. Like that. This is the weight of the world. Every concern just rolled off of me. And I wanted to tell people. I wanted to talk to people about it. I got so excited. Everybody's got to have this. This is the key to life, man. There's nothing like this. This is it. There's nothing like this. This is the biggest deal that I've ever seen in my life. This is why I'm on the earth. To tell other people about this. I didn't start living until Jesus came into my life. I was existing. And so then I wanted to help others. And then I began to try to do it. The problem is I don't know what I'm doing. I'm bumbling around. And I say, God, what do you want me to do? He said, I don't want you to do anything. I want you to learn about me. How can you tell people about me unless you know me? I said, wow, that's a profound thought. I said, so you really don't want me to physically go out there and do things? No. I want you to learn about me. And when you know me, and when you start to really get to know me, then you can really share me with others. But how can you share me with others if you don't know me? That took a weight off of my life. And so I dove in to the Bible. Dove in. I spent hours upon hours. Sometimes daily, hours upon hours upon hours. And you know what? I am gleaning from that to this very day. Scriptures pop into my mind. Things pop into my mind. I know different things. They pop into my mind when I'm about life. When I'm going about my daily life. That's when that's when you need help. You don't need help when you're holed up in the Bible, with you and God in the Bible in prayer.
That's right.
Maybe. Sometimes you do need help there because you're reading it and you say, I don't really have a clue what's going on here. I can't understand this book. But I mean, we really need help when we leave this place. When we go to our homes, when we're in front of our family, when we're with other people, when the pressure's on, when the phone rings. That's when we need help. That's when what's love? That we walk in obedience to His commands, that we start to get to know Him. That we start to get to know what He wants. How can we serve God if we don't know what He wants? How can we serve God if we don't know Him? How can we really love Him? We can't. And you know what? It's like trying to play baseball but not knowing the rules. I mean, you can try all you want to try. You can try hard. I'm not saying you don't try hard. I'm not saying I don't try hard. But I hit the ball and I run to third. It ain't working. I meant it well. I tried hard. I gave my 100%. I'm sincerely wrong. I'm sincerely off. And I think many of us live our Christian life sincerely from the heart, but we don't know what we're doing sometimes. Even after reading the Bible the way I have, sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. This is love, that we walk in obedience to commands, as you have heard from the beginning. His command is that you walk in love. Walking in His commands, walking in knowledge of who He is walking in love. I didn't say this is not your definition of love. This is what this normally is not what makes people go down the center aisle and marry somebody. This is not normal. Love one another. God's love is a different kind of love. There's not a question there. This is love. That he loved us. John said earlier in 1 John, this is love. Not that we loved him, but that he loved us and he gave his son. This is love. Love starts with God. Him loving us, and then off of his pouring his love into us, we can love others. We start to get to know him and know what love is. Love and truth are inseparable. Because look at this. If we walk in his commands, we're walking in, what's it say back here? I was so filled with joy to hear that your children are walking in truth. That's walking in the Word. That's walking in love. That love and truth are inseparable. I think sometimes when we say we walk in love, we put the Bible over to the side. No! Don't put the Bible over to the side to figure out what love is. Love and truth are inseparable. We speak the truth in love. Talks about in Ephesians chapter 4 that speaking the truth in love we can grow up. And then we love others in the truth. We love others in the truth. Why? Because walking in obedience is walking in love. Love without truth is sloppy agape. Okay. Agape is the God kind of love. Where it talks about in 1 Corinthians that God is love. God is agape. That's what the Greek means. And agape means the God kind of love. A love that is a giving love. A love that loves because. A love, a sacrificial love. It's a love that's based not on merit. And 1 Corinthians 13 really talks about what that agape love is. But if you don't have truth in that love, you might care for others, but you can't. But it's kind of sloppy.
I call it truth without love. I call ruthless truth.
How about love without truth?
Sloppy agape.
And what's so sloppy about it?
Because if you withhold truth from someone, it's ultimately not loving. You can love them straight to hell.
Because we don't tell them. In the greatest thing that we can actually talk to people about is Jesus. Would that be the most loving? How many here want other people to go to hell? But the only way that you could tell them about Jesus and really that they can go to heaven is you got to tell them the truth. Right? And it has to work both together. And this is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in life, is to be 100% loving, at the same time 100% truthful. If any of you have reached that epitome, just let me know. Lay hands on me and pray that I would have this. Normally, if I'm very loving, sometimes I'm not as truthful. And sometimes when I'm very truthful, I'm not as loving. Do you ever go there? You're very truthful, but you're not as loving. And what I say is that do not sacrifice the truth just to up your love. Up your love. Jesus was full of grace and full of truth. He was full of love and full of truth simultaneously. Full. Both of them. And truth without love is cold and condemning. It is. It cuts. So, what is truth? That was the statement that Pilate asked Jesus. What is truth? Said Pilate. What is truth? Anyone?